Welcome back to the Horizon interview. Now, a year ago, the EndSARS demonstrations garnered international attention for its call to end police brutality and bad governance in Nigeria. The images that have come to define the movement show young people taking to the streets while demanding an end to injustice, with celebrities from Nigeria and the diaspora praising their efforts. But history has taught us that every movement has its unsung heroes. Those people working tirelessly in the background, sustaining the movement long after the cameras leave. Female organizers were prominent in steering and fundraising for this prolific global movement. They were the leaders and strategists harnessing social media to fight for change.
On October 3rd, 2020, a video reportedly showing SARS officers killing a young man in Delta State, southern Nigeria, went viral. In response, demonstrations across major cities begin, demanding accountability for the death of another person at the hands of the police. At the same time, even more Nigerians take to social media to voice their frustration on police brutality in Nigeria, as the hashtag EndSARS tops the global trends on Twitter. A few days later, the protests continued growing momentum as hundreds of youths gathered around Lagos and other parts of Nigeria. In Lekki, Nigerian artists including Falz and Runtown kicked off the protest. Over in Ikeja, demonstrators were led by Rinu Oduala, Temitope Majekodumi, and Mr. Macaroni, some of who slept in front of the Lagos Government House overnight. In the capital Abuja, protesters vowed not to leave the premises of the Nigerian Police Force headquarters until the Inspector General of Police addressed them.
I think a feeling of exhaustion, a feeling of just being tired, probably a shared feeling. I think it was something everyone felt at the time. A feeling of frustration, a feeling of vex, a feeling of, come on man, it's getting too way out of hand, That was why I said on that day I would, take that walk along with several other Nigerians. I didn't know how many people were going to come out, maybe 50, maybe 100 people, but, we got there on that day, there were thousands of people on the streets. And of course, Runtown had shared a tweet prior to that as well. So, both of us were pretty much at the forefront of that very first walk. And from that, it was like a chain reaction. Everything just started to spiral out of control, if you like.
Well, my next guest helped provide relief and care for victims of EndSARS in the aftermath of the protests. Vanessa Adebayo is an organizer and the founder of Africa's Mental Health Matters, an organization that brings awareness to mental health amongst the youth in Africa. Nankwat Dakum Mbi, founder of Shift Nigeria, which builds support for transformative leaders in communities across Nigeria. And I welcome you to the show. Let's start with you, Vanessa. Mental health is very important, and during that period, a lot of Nigerian youth actually seem to have lost their sanity because of police brutality. They couldn't hold it back again. Just take us through the mental torture that led to the provocative EndSARS protests.
Yeah, so I think that during that period, there was already so much leading up to EndSARS, right? So if we go back, COVID had happened, people were stuck at home dealing with a change of routine. A lot of people experienced grief, losing the things that they would naturally do on a day-to-day basis, now being taken away from that and being locked exactly,
at home due to the lockdown.
Exactly. And then from there, there was all of this cross-continentally, globally, we were kind of connected for once in our lives. People from Nigeria saw what was going on in the States as far as the Black Lives Matter movement. And then finally in October, we then had EndSARS. So as you can imagine, there was so much building up to this very moment, to this very time. And because everyone was coming together, everyone felt the same way. Whether you were marching, donating money, on the sidelines, reposting posts on Instagram or social media, whatever it was that you were doing, mentally it was draining, right? Especially when you're seeing footage on social media or Twitter or whatever it is that you're watching, whatever space it is that you're watching, constantly showing negative imagery of what is going on in your country. So by the time the EndSARS took place, people were depleted mentally.
Very interesting design. Nankwat, there was this building of community, especially by female groups. You had this female, coalition of female groups, feminist coalition, and all of that. Young women just like you out there trying to build a community to support that push for reforms within the police and all of that. Tell us about young women trying to create change, building communities together, just like your organization does.
I think it was really just an amazing thing to see, just not only to see like men come together from different ages, but then just to kind of see how the women all came together to form all these different groups just to help. And you saw that they would raise money for different things. They would raise money for ambulance. They would raise money for things like umbrellas when it was raining, things like raincoats and things when it was raining. And I think that the reason why coalitions were formed is because these things have been going on for a long time. Hundreds of people came out to protest. Most of them have been harassed by police or they know someone that has. And so it just got to a point where it's enough. Like, it's enough is enough. And you know that you cannot do this alone. So you have to ban, exactly.
And then we've had all of this going through the past 1 year. Do you think there's been enough healing mentally? And then community-wise, a lot of people bonding together to think about this EndSARS and the benefits that could have accrued from that.
No, I don't think there's been enough healing at all, because after it happened, people had their accounts blocked. People were getting insults and threats from the government. One of the things my organization did was that we had to help someone that actually went into hiding, and he was receiving death threats from people in the police. And they were saying that they would find him and they would kill him. And so this is after the October 2nd shooting, after all of that has happened. So there's no time to heal. It's only been a year. And then we heard that SARS was out. And I remember driving cross states. I was going from Jos to Nigeria. And the same SARS people that were there the last time before they banned SARS with a different uniform. So they're still getting harassed. So it's not enough time to heal.
Yeah, so as we try to round off this conversation, because we don't have enough time, tell us how a lot of people could help overcome this mental torture issues due to police brutality, and how a lot of lessons learned during that period could be helpful in the future. So
something that Africa's Mental Health Matters did during the EndSARS movement was we created a space for group mental therapy, right? And that was a space that we created for people to really talk about how it is that they were dealing with the situation at hand, what it is that they were doing to cope, and then more importantly, being able to provide them resources. So creating an open space and a dialogue for people to really speak their minds and gain the resources that they need. A year later, like Ning's already said, people are still healing. People are still trying to fathom how something like this could take place. But I think it's very important that we're open and we're having open conversations like this publicly, so that people understand that it's okay not to be okay, right? And the way that you kind of get the resources that you need is by reaching out to mental therapists, looking out for organizations like Africa's Mental Health.
I'm afraid we just have to go because there's no more time. But you've said so much, and I think a lot of people have learned so much. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Sumner Sambo.